Hello and welcome to the 3,500 Miles Between Us podcast with your hosts Jobie and Abigail.
It's been a while since we talked in person.
Yeah, 3 weeks. 3 weeks.
3 weeks. You have been busy doing things you can't talk about. You're
Well,
just
let's
like
just
a woman
say
of
secrets.
mystery.
It's going to be so anticlimactic when it all comes out. But this project that's landed on my lap is incredible. But it's extremely it's time consuming and it's intense. And you know, because you've been through similar projects where it's just guns blazing from the moment, like 4:30 in the morning till 10 at night. For 3 weeks now, I've been working on this project, and it's exciting. But I can tell that I'm at the end of my rope because I'm getting snappy with the kids. You know, when suddenly your kids just irritate the hell out of you, and I think, I'm tired.
When you work 7 days, like I notice for sure, if I work 7 days in a row, it really is telling. Like if you don't have a day off where you don't work, and like I've done that lots, and I feel like I'm short, I'm snappy. Like today I'm snappy.
Yeah, I'm the same.
I mean, partly because my
edge.
back is injured and I just don't have the strength to do what I want to do. Like I can't lift things and all of that. But yeah, right. And then I look at your Instagram and you look like amazing. And I'm like, oh, she's handling it well. Instagram is bullshit, isn't it?
I mean, Instagram is a load of rubbish, isn't it? I'm not going to post the actual pictures of me covered in paint. Literally, even now, I've got paint in my hair, all over my hands. My car is a cesspit of disaster. People get in my car and they're like, what is going on here? It smells.
God.
There's like food, like I'm eating on the go, and it's just becoming
Stuff
a landfill.
Falling down in between you.
It's terrible. That's my life, really. And then with the kids, I was talking to a friend. We were talking about how children are your best barometer for how you're doing, because when you start getting edgy with them, you know you're not coping, because they test you even at the best of the times with patience.
I know.
So if I'm too tired to sustain that level of patience, I know, things are unraveling for me, and I've noticed that.
It's rotten. Yeah, I hate
it's not
that.
good.
Like Gabe looks at me
good.
like, oh, you're snapping over the fact that you can't do your shoelace up or something. Like,
yeah.
You know, you break over the smallest thing. Yeah,
totally. And they're the ones who really, I think they showcase that, I'm really at my end now of this intensity.
Yeah, you think that they understand your brain. They think that they understand everything that's going on inside your head and all the weight and the burden that you're carrying. But in actual fact, they don't, because it's really obvious when you do snap over a silly thing. They look at you like perplexed and and you think, oh, right, you don't know this. You don't really understand, because I haven't actually been vocalizing. I've just been head down, ass up doing this stuff. And they cannot quite understand that you're under a lot of pressure.
They're not putting it in perspective. At the same time, I think, thank God they're not feeling or thinking what I am, because I hold a lot of it in and it comes out occasionally. But if they actually felt the full force of the stress, you know, that wouldn't be pleasant at all, because I'm feeling it a lot more than I'm showing it. And it just seeps through past 6 p.m. in the evening. I'm pretty ropey.
Yeah. The silly little question, like, Mom, where's the sugar?
Yeah.
Oh, fucking no. Fucking sugar yourself.
Okay. This is what happened the other day. Sapphire, my 18-year-old, was having dinner with her boyfriend. And I said to them when I got up from the table, make sure you put your dishes away. And then I wake up in the morning and they said, yeah, we'll do it. And it's always later. It's always, you know, another time, right? Mm-hmm. So I wake up in the morning and the dishes are still on the table. So I leave for my job and text her and I say, make sure when you get up, you put away those dishes. Yeah, I'll do it. 4:00 in the afternoon, I come back. So this is now those dishes have been on the table 24 hours. And because I'm kind of ropey, I'm not going to pick them up. Now it's like, you're doing this. So then I take a photo of them at 4 p.m. and go, dishes still on the table. Oh, I'm so sorry, I forgot. And then I thought, how can I she's just going to leave them there indefinitely because they're not affecting her life. They're on a table. So what I did is I went into her bedroom and I laid all the dirty dishes on her pillow of her bed. Curry, full on curry. And then I found 6 glasses in her room and I laid them all out because I thought the bed is the only thing I know she'll get to eventually and she'll want to be in it. And so in the end, I had about 8 dishes on her pillow that were all really stinky and dirty. And I didn't say anything, but I knew she'd find them at like 2:00 in the morning. And now they've disappeared. I don't know I think she's actually put them away. And I thought, yeah, I'm going to do that again. That worked really well. Well, when it's out in the house, it doesn't impact them. Like, what? She didn't care. It's on the kitchen table. She'll eat somewhere else.
Yeah.
So anyway, that's a sign.
That's a sign.
It's a sign. So how are things your end? How is your back?
Yeah, I mean, it's week 3 or 4?
I feel like it's more than that. It's got to be at least week 4.
Shit.
Because my project's kicked off 3 weeks ago and this happened.
Yeah, I mean, the doctor just says time. No one tells, it's not like go see a chiropractor and get this work done. It's like literally just wait it out and the thing will heal, which is a little disconcerting for a personality like me because I don't just lay around all day. And then I talk to some professionals and they're like, well, you should move. Like if you sit around, you're just going to seize up. So I've been going to the gym and doing all the things that I can do that are machines where I don't have to lift weights and put them on racks. And I don't do anything with my back or my legs. And that's given me a bit of sanity. And I'm moving around the farm doing light duty work, but every so often light duty turns into slightly heavy duty because you just have to move something. And then I'm like, fuck, I just don't know what too much looks like because I have
what does it feel like? What's the sensation?
Well, originally it was I could only walk for maybe a minute and then I have to lie down again because it was like it's just like massive pain in your midsection.
But throbbing or acute?
Yeah, it's almost like spasming muscles.
Okay.
Too much.
So it's more of a muscle pain than a bone pain.
Yeah, I don't really know what bone pain feels like. But yeah, it's too much to bear. And then over time, I've been able to, now I'm on my feet all day. But by the end of the day, I'm definitely feeling like jump in the hot tub and sit there with the jets right on it,
Really?
And I'm able to touch my toes now with a bit of time, which before I couldn't even tilt more than like this much without it feeling like I was going to snap. So that's good, but I just don't want to have any long-term damage. So, someone said to Tara the other day, she's like, the back is the one part of your body that if you're overdoing it, it will tell you right away.
Really?
Like it will be like, if you ever pinch something,
oh,
there's no getting around it, right? So fingers crossed I'm not doing too much because I just don't understand what too much is. I mean, I'm not reefing on things and lifting heavy weights and, but I am still moving around the farm and doing stuff.
And has that slowed up your projects massively? I'm imagining that mini home that you were building.
Yes.
Let's not talk about
love
that. And just having to look at it out your window every day as a reminder.
No, I am doing things. I'm doing things that I can do. But like if I got to pick something up, I literally have to bend down with my knees, pick it up, and then use
the way you should do it.
Yeah. Thank goodness I've done the knees over toes regimen for now, almost 4 years. So my knees are strong and my legs are fairly strong. But like right now, I can feel an ache in my lower back,
And that would make you irritable.
Yeah, it does. It's tiring all day because you're just compensating. So yeah, it is kind of tiring.
If you think of people who live with chronic pain, how snappy they must be, just a constant pain of some sort must make you really irritable.
Yeah, I mean, Jen, my ex-wife, she had chronic pain from the tick, from the fibromyalgia, and I didn't understand it. I just didn't. Yeah, I mean, it gets to a point where you can't complain anymore about it because people just,
Yeah.
it's just like white
They don't
noise.
want to hear about it.
No.
It doesn't matter what it is in your life. If you're going through something that's a prolonged difficulty, after a while, people just don't want to hear about it,
Yeah. Yeah, it's true.
which is, you know, just human nature, I suppose, that we tap out.
Yeah. And then I thought, well, I can podcast, you know, so I did one in-person one, which was the one with Adam and me, and it was like the lighting was terrible. And it looked like the microphone was in my face because it couldn't figure out the background. But that was okay. That was test one. And then I did another one with this guy, this old 70-year-old guy that's very knowledgeable. It's kind of like a grandfather of spirituality, I would say. Beautiful 2-hour conversation, set up all the gear. None of the audio came out, and I was so gutted.
Gutting, it really is.
It was so gutting, and I was so frustrated and embarrassed, and it's just like I had 3 cameras going, right, and I'm setting the lights up myself, the camera up myself, the sound up myself, and then I'm feeling the pressure of him in the room. I'm feeling like I have to entertain him while I'm doing all this, and because of that, hello cat, what do you want?
Shut it.
Because of that. I forgot to unmute one of the microphones, and then I did another one in Vancouver, which was like that sort of worked, but one of the phones just stopped recording.
Right.
And then I did another one the other day with a guy who does psilocybin therapy, and again, I'm in talks with Riverside, the app we're using, because it wouldn't download.
Wow, so you've lost that?
So they're saying that they can maybe get it back. And
that's not okay.
I'm just like, was it something I did on my end? You know, it feels like everything technical, electronic in my life over the last couple weeks has been banging my head against a wall. And I'm like, what's the message here? Should I just not be doing any of this? Like, I mean, I've realized that, hey, if you do a podcast and you're just by yourself, just do one camera, capturing both of you guys, keep it as simple as possible, and just get the audio, because most people just turn the video off anyway.
Yeah. Or do it like this and not do in person to begin with, and just, because this is pretty straightforward.
It is.
It
I
works.
do like being in the same room. It is just something
that must be magic.
There's energy there, right? But yeah, it's, I don't know. Am I supposed to just unplug from everything technical? And like, I don't know. I feel like there's some kind of, because it literally everything I touch, just like my truck has this old school stereo in it. And if I listen to a podcast, it will like fast forward and then go back and then fast forward and then go back and then sound like a robot's in there.
So it's not just podcast. It's not just this that's testing you. It's everything.
So then I pay for a stereo to get put in because I've got an older truck, and I pay for a modern stereo to get, and I pay for this guy to come and install it, and I hook it up, and I can't send or receive phone calls. So now I'm like down the rabbit hole, like, why can't I do it? Oh no, that model you got doesn't, and I'm like,
oh my God.
And I hate it. And I'm like, why is this happening to me on every single front? Like, what's the story? I
feel like that stuff's a language as well, because my daughter's boyfriend is nerdy, and he comes in the house and I'm like, I've got a computer. I'm trying to download photos. Can you help this whole thing happen? And there's something about that generation that understand technology. They're not afraid. He's just not, he expects it to all work out. And he just sits in front of it, Googles it, figures it out, downloads it so that I can access it, and it's just smooth. Yeah. And I realize that I go straight into panic mode because it's not my language, because I think when it comes to nerdy technical stuff, there's a language. Like if you put you in front of a hammer, nail and a piece of wood, you can create something. But a nerd couldn't do that. They would be completely lost. Their language is this whole realm of cyber, and I could see he knew exactly how to find the answers that he needed, and I was just strange.
I know they're not afraid to push on buttons, right? And to go,
Yeah.
I'm like, well, why would I push that? And they're like, well, they just push it and figure it out. And then like Tara's actually really good at understanding technology because she's just calm. But I reminded of my dad, stupid thing. Like,
Yeah,
I'm
yeah.
just like, it should just plug in and work. Like,
Yeah,
and then the
yeah.
other thing is like, the sound out of our television is really shitty. So I bought one of those sound bars. Cannot get it to work. It used to work and now it doesn't. I mean,
Do you
it's like
find that when something stops
literally
working,
a
you're
sound
like,
bar.
oh,
It's
shit.
so easy.
My heart sinks because it's not my language. When something stops working, I'm like, this is bad. This is really bad. Because I don't speak the language of technology. So the chances of me solving it, Eddie Izzard calls it techno fear versus techno joy. So I have techno fear where I'm like, oh, I'm not going to be able to figure this out. And other people have techno joy where they're just like, yeah, man, let's just see what happens.
Mm-hmm.
And they're not afraid of, and like Tara would have techno joy. So she's just not scared.
Wow.
Whereas I just think, well, what did I do? No, now it's gone. Now it's worse.
I know. I have a little bit of patience to dig, and then I just get angry at I'm just like, it shouldn't be like this. And I feel like remorse. I'm like, why did I buy this thing? Why didn't I do the research? Why didn't I look a bit deeper? And that is a problem that like some people will like research everything online and look at the reviews, and I'm just like, well, that looks good.
Yeah, yeah.
And then I end up sending it back and doing it twice. And
now I'm finding on Amazon, they charge you $12 if you have to ship something back. So it's not free shipping return. So I ended up spending, I had 5 boxes of things and each thing's $12 to return. I think because of the tariffs, I don't know, something's changed.
Yeah.
So it's not cheap the way it used to be.
Jeff
I have to now consider my purchases a bit more carefully, because if I'm paying $12 for every single thing I return, that's going to add up really quickly.
Yeah.
So
you can trade. So you can say if you buy something you don't want it,
okay,
there's an option to buy another thing and have that money placed, and then I think it maybe cancels out that $12 fee.
Okay, I'll look into that. Yeah, I've noticed little things like this happening because of what's going on politically. It's like something's changed. Little shifts in the overheads.
What is going on politically? Like I've so unplugged, and then all of a sudden I see that LA is burning to the ground.
Yeah, and I just noticed that 5 days after the fact. I'm like, Ellie's? What? Actually, do you know anything?
Oh, and then I talked to my friend here, and he's like, it's so crazy. Like, he's a cool cat, but he's definitely a left-leaning dude. And he's like, oh, I'm listening to the news. He listens to that one, Democracy Now.
Okay,
which is very. Yeah, they're very like anti-Trump and like authority. Okay. So he says, "Oh, there's not much. It was a mostly peaceful protest, but Trump brought in the National Guard, right? Which is like an authoritarian type of maneuver, strike fear into people. But they're setting light to cars and throwing cop cars and burning cop cars and throwing rocks at them and demolishing them." And then I listened to The Unheard, which is the one we used to watch through COVID. Remember The Unheard?
Yeah.
The British guy?
Yeah.
And he said, yeah, they're calling it the mostly peaceful protest, which is the same thing they said for Black Lives Matter, right? It's mostly peaceful. So one side is saying, well, there's only one car that got vandalized. And then the other side is saying, like, zooming back and you see all the vandalism. Like, one side is saying that the trucker convoy was all Nazi flags. And then the other side is zooming back and saying, yeah, it was one Nazi flag.
Yeah. So what's this protest even about?
It's about the immigration laws.
Oh,
okay. ICE, remember the ICE, Trump set up that division called ICE, which is basically arresting all of the illegal immigrants and shipping them back.
Yeah.
And so LA is in uproar about it. And so,
Well, I've seen pictures of they've done the whole dumpsters full of bricks that, how they come
Antifa.
along.
Yeah.
Yeah. And just deliver that to create more problems and more violence. So what I've kind of settled in on, how can I thrive in spite of what's going on? And if my focus is on how can I create a life for myself that is good in spite of the fact that we know our government doesn't wish us well and things are deteriorating? Is there a way of, I just feel like it's a better use of my energy to go, I might have to work twice as hard to get through this. But if my attention is on how to prosper in spite of the fact that there are forces out there that are trying to just strip everything from me and my only existence is paying taxes, because that drama and those things seem, every time I poke my head into politics, it's still just as much as a disaster as it was last time. And there's something unchanging about that. And yet my own personal life, I've just, when we listened to this podcast and talked about it, about how to crash well, that's really stuck with me, especially recently where things have started to turn around for the better, where I've thought I've just come through about a year of everything burning to ashes and my life being in a death season. And that's the only term that is appropriate. Like, I was in a death season where everything had to burn to the ground. And I've thought, I think there's a natural law here that once everything has burnt down to the ground, the only natural progression is that new life comes. Because that's the only thing that makes sense about what's started to come in my own life, which is new life and new possibilities. Other than that, it doesn't make sense. I don't feel I deserve anything particularly. But I feel like, well, that's nature. Nature does that. Nature burns to the ground, goes dormant, whether it's winter, fire, whatever the thing is, and then new life comes. And I think it's a natural principle. And when we talk about surrender and how to crash well, I feel like if you're in a death season and it's already happening to you and it's coming at you, the only good way to respond is to say, how can I do this well? Because it's happening anyway. And that's really helped me make sense of why now that there's a turning of the tide is because everything died. What else is going to happen? When you look around and, it's all just ash. The only thing that can happen next is life. And that's really kind of, I've actually seeing that play out right now. And I thought that's natural law on every layer of nature, animals, the cycle. And there's something really, I feel, that makes more sense to me than people saying, oh, well, you deserve this. No, I don't. Not really. Not any more than someone in Gaza who's lost all their family deserves to be out of that situation. Like, they deserve better than what they've got over there. Or sex trafficked people, or whatever the thing is. I don't understand why some people are more blessed than others, and some people literally live a lifetime of suffering. It doesn't make any sense to me that a huge swathe of the world population spends the majority of their life suffering, and then there's us that go through these cycles. Like, how come we get to go through cycles of growth and cycles of death? And yet some people, it's just like relentless. Our bloodline's been wiped out, And that
are we any happier than those people? Like,
I don't know.
The 10,000 mile view back would say yes for sure, because they would look at all the stuff we have.
Yeah.
But in our inner, the battle inside, we should be happier. 100%, we should be happier. But are we happier? I don't know. I can only speak for myself. I don't. Yeah, I mean,
you should at least be grateful.
I've lost everything before, and been like, living on, like, sleeping on the floor of a church, and it's there is something about being at rock bottom where you have no further to fall. There is something peaceful in that, even though I don't wish it on myself or anyone I know. But there is something about it that's like. That there's just so much pressure with holding it all together, right? Like, that can make us so unhappy, just trying to keep the mortgage paid, keep the fridge full, keep the kids doing all the activities, keep the farm tidy. We should be way happier, but in actual fact, once you've got all this stuff, now you have to maintain all this stuff. And I know for myself that I am not as happy as I should be. like today driving Gabe at school, I'm just so impacted the older I get about that, like I keep saying randomly this last couple of days is like, this is the only day, this day will vanish and it will never come back. Like these moments are here once in a lifetime right now, this day, don't work for the weekend. Like just, this is it.
And it's
And
made
I'm
up
full of
of,
hypocrisy when I say that because I want to live like that, but in actual fact, I just see all the shit that I haven't done.
yeah.
And it just drowns out the joy.
And majority of life is made up of so many mundane moments of very, very unexciting. And, those unrepeatable moments are largely forgettable moments.
Mm-hmm.
Driving kids from A to B to then go back and do it all over again. It's very monotonous.
It is. I mean, I was listening to Jeremy Renner's book because he's the guy that got driven over by that snowcat,
Oh, yeah, yeah.
And, in the book, and I don't know, I mean, there's something about the American kind of personality where they're a bit over the top, it's like every morning I get up and I'm just grateful for my breath. I was like, really? Really?
Calm the fuck down, mate.
Yeah, come on. And he just he said at the book, I would do this all again. I would get driven over by a snowcat again if it meant because of what I've learned through it is so much more than what I had before.
Wow. I can believe that.
He turned down a new Marvel opportunity, which was more money than he's ever made before. And he turned it down because of, I don't know, the amount of time it would take and that, and his perspective has changed. And he does a lot of charity work now. But yeah, I mean, it's, these shock things that happen to us really do make us
well, these guys I'm working with right now are Ukrainian, and they one guy only moved here a couple months ago and he doesn't speak any English, so we're doing pidgin hand gestures. But today he wanted to show me, he's come from Kiev in Ukraine.
How long ago?
A few weeks ago. And
wow.
He said this is a film he took from his living room window of all of the bombs coming towards his house in his apartment in Kiev. Wow. And I said, when was this? And he said, this was 2 years ago, and it happened every night for 6 months. That there was just the classic that you see on social media, but it was on his phone. It was his experience. And then he started showing me his beautiful car that he's lost because that's in Ukraine, and his apartment where because he's a carpenter, he built this beautiful kitchen with things that I've never seen before because they were much more high end than anything you would get here. Mm-hmm. So he obviously came from something quite well to do and existence. And now he's coming here, just do whatever job he can. I don't know his story because he doesn't speak English. But it was kind of a bit of okay, so this is your life that you've lost completely. And they come to Canada, say it's so cold. It'll be 40 degrees in Ukraine right now. And over here, it was like 12 degrees yesterday and pissing with rain and miserable. And I think what's strange is because of the language barrier, I'm treating him just like, oh, can you fix this? Can you do that? Not knowing what trauma he's been through, what he's lost, how he feels about being in Canada. Like, what's the price? And there's 4 of them that are here from Ukraine, the hardest workers I've ever come across, and skilled. But they don't want to be here. One of them's like, I want to go live in Poland. This isn't where I want to be. And you can see how displaced they are.
Right.
And yet so joyful, just the happiest. And none of it can I get to the bottom of because we can't communicate. I'm just watching it going, what's going on? Like, what is this? What's their story? What have they lost? I'll never know. But like you say, like that appreciation for what must it feel like to flee your country, to have bombs aiming at you for 6 months, to live in the epicenter of this, and then come to Canada where there's none of that. We've never even known it. And there's nothing, no one's locking their doors, and, it's pretty chill. Yeah. I don't even know what that contrast must be like, what they're thinking about all of that. Or, one thing they did say is how overweight and unhealthy people seem to them, because these guys are lean. They're like farm strong, as you talk about. They don't eat any sugar. And I brought them this box of donuts, and they're like, they didn't even know. This is just so sweet. They just can't.
Really?
Yeah.
That's
They took one
interesting.
mouthful. Too much.
Wow.
It's decadent.
Wow.
Decadent.
Wow.
So I don't know what they think of our supermarkets, but they're pretty appalled, I think, at the state of people here. Because all of them are well-kept, good-looking, shredded guys who work 12-hour days and don't stop. And when they actually realize what they could be, you know, oh, we don't have to move this fast. They're probably gonna, oh, we don't have, but that's their norm. So it's really quite eye-opening. And yet I'd love to know more, but I can't know more.
Language barrier. You could do, Google Translate. Have you tried Google Translate?
Oh, they do that. They're there with their phone. But it's just pidgin understandings of stuff.
Yeah, I mean, I remember meeting people on the streets when I worked with the homeless people in Toronto, and some of them were very successful people with houses and everything. And they just hit a point where the stress load was too much to bear. And they just literally walked away and became a street person.
Really?
Walked away from their family, their home, their mortgage, and they feel freer.
Yeah.
I think it's you know, our biggest blessing is almost our biggest curse, right? Sometimes the burden.
Keeping it all together.
Now, like, you know, you got one house and you buy another house, and you got two houses. You think, okay, the long-term benefit is why you do it. Okay, this is my retirement. But you just created a whole bunch of pressure and stress for this maybe future that you're dreaming about, like this maybe thing that's not actually in concrete. You know.
Well, I think it's part of human nature to want to improve, especially if you're a creative type, that humanity's always wanting to move forward. And from what I've heard from a friend who worked with the homeless for 15 years, he said there's almost always a story of a breakdown in a vital relationship in their life, whether it's their parents divorcing or a broken marriage or relationship of some sort that's so catastrophic that it spirals them off of that conveyor belt of owning a home and keeping a job. He said there's almost always a breakdown in a significant relationship that leads to that decision to just go, I can't, you know, they lose their footing. I've thought of that with some of the men that I've got to know, where when a man falls off his horse in life, if he doesn't have the support there for someone to say, I think you can get back on, I believe you can do this. I think a lot of men lose their way because they lose their confidence, and particularly with men, what I've observed is men do fall off their horse once in a while, like whether it's going bankrupt or a business or whatever. And if they don't have that infrastructure of people around them to give them confidence to get back on, I think they lose their way quite a lot. Whereas women typically have an infrastructure already in place of supportive mums, girlfriends. You can do it. We do things in group. We go to the bathroom in a pack, you know, but men don't typically want to do that. They're not inclined to ask for help. You know, whereas women, we're the first one to go, I can't do this, I need help. You know, that's the first thing I'll do is ask for help. And then I'll look at men and go, why aren't they asking for help? But I don't think men naturally want to do that. I could be wrong, you tell me.
No,
but you don't move in packs the way that women do.
Yeah, I think it's cultural too. Like, because on a reservation, when I worked on reservations, you notice that the dudes and the girls would all move in packs. So when we would do sports with them, if we were like, okay, we're going to pick one person, we want a team captain or whatever it was, they did not like that at all. They wanted to move together because they felt safety in the group. So they'd always work around in these packs, you know, whereas, you know, classic Western, is kind of every man for himself, loner, lone wolf, you know, and then they go to like Europe, like Italy and Greece, and it feels a lot more packed.
Yeah,
there's a lot more
Lebanese, Asians, everyone's doing it but us. When you think of the Indians will cohabit until the mortgage is paid and then do it all over again.
Like I work with these, at the gym, there's these couple of East Indian guys with turbans and all that, and they work out. and they've got one of those old school headsets. They always wear those ones with the little bar that comes down for them
Oh,
to talk
really?
into. They'll be talking through their entire workout pretty loud, and no regard for, like, everyone who's a white dude is just like looking at them like, what the fuck, man? And this guy is like, doesn't even bat an eyelid. And I've seen it so many times.
Really?
Because in their culture, it's just a noisy, loud,
Yeah.
you know, you're on a bus and everyone's having a conversation at the same time, where our culture is like, after you. No, after you. No, after you. And it's such an offense to us to have that. But yeah. I see that all the time, like really loud.
I saw this reel of this guy who landed in India, and after a few days in Delhi, he's like, I can't take it anymore. These guys beep their horn for no reason.
Yeah.
They're just beeping their horn. It's like beep joy. And he goes, it's so stressful because it's 24 hours a day. Just constant beep, 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 beep. It's like, you didn't even need to do that. And he's there just going, the noise is like, no one can prepare you for this amount of noise. And I guess all of those cultures, they cohabit and live together, and the mum-in-law's there and the grandparents, even in Poland, which I feel is quite Western. I'm quite integrated into this Polish community, and one of the girls had the longitude and latitude of her home in Poland tattooed on her arm. And I said, well, what if she said, that's my parents' home. And I said, well, what if they sell and they build a McDonald's there? What then? You've got the coordinates of McDonald's. And she said, they would never sell. It's not Canada. That house has been in our family for 300 years, and it will always be in our family, and we'll inherit it. And I realized that I just assumed that everyone buys and sells. The average homeowner here, it lasts for 5 years and then you move on.
Yeah.
And we're so transient. And the Polish people said, no, we own forever. We don't sell a home. And your children inherit it, and then the grandparents move into the basement, and then when they die, you move into the basement and your children live upstairs.
Yeah.
And that's how it goes.
Yeah,
And you just think, what's this? Does this help you?
It's a bit cold.
Oh, okay. Thought
Yeah,
it might be a straitjacket.
I was talking to someone whose son just went to Bali, and then he went from Bali to Greece and Greece to Italy, and he's in his 20s, you know, and she just said, oh, he loved Turkey and Greece. I mean, it was Turkey and Greece. And we were just talking about, you know, everyone says, oh, the coffee shops and the you know, like when we went to Paris, right? And she said there's something in Canadians and Americans and all of that who just crave that. It calls out to us, right? We don't quite understand how to get there, but there's something when you see it, you're just like thirsty for it. But I notice in myself that I'm not thirsty enough, though. Like we've got a friend down the road who just moved from the island. Not super close friends, but pretty close, and they just rented a house, and he's a business owner in the same industry as I'm in, and literally he's a 2-minute drive from my house. And every time I drive by, I'm like, I should just pop in and see how it's going.
Yeah.
And I don't, because I'm like, no, but I've got to go get some 2x4.
It's never a good time.
Yeah. And, you know, it's like Tara and I were like, oh, we should have more people over this summer. But it's like, yeah, well, and all the ducks have to be in a row. But I think those guys their door is always open. It's like, it's, you know, I think I miss that about England, where people would just pop over. Oh, hello, it's just Tim. Hello, Billy. Just in the neighborhood. I've popped in for a tea. I mean, when we lived with Mum at Black Boy Road there.
Oh my God, constant stream of people.
Constantly, hello. You know, no one's invited. It's just like a little knock on the door. And it was just a revolving door. And I think that Canada is just so far from that. It's really rubbed off on me too. I'm just like always purpose-driven, purpose, like productivity. Like barely got time to talk to someone on the way to go and to get the thing I need to get back home again, to produce something.
And isn't it interesting that you've moved to the island for a slower pace, and you probably feel that your life is still really busy? I mean, obviously not as much as Vancouver, but like that idea of just sitting around sipping coffee or tea is not happening, even in the most chilled out place in Canada, really.
I always say your demons follow you. The first month you're in like La La Land, and then all of a sudden it catches up. Like yesterday, I was working, and then Gabe has mountain biking, so I picked him up at school, drove him to mountain biking, went to look at a job, and then I had an hour and 15 minutes before I had to pick him up. And I'm just looking at my watch. I'm like, could I get to the gym, get a workout in, and still get back there in time to pick him up? Not sure I can do that. Can I go to, maybe I can go pick up some lumber that I need. No, all the store's closed. And then I heard this voice like, why don't you just go get a cup of coffee and just sit down and drink it?
There's an idea.
And I was like, well, I could work on this quote while I'll do that. So I went and got a cup of coffee, sat down, opened my book, and beavered away at writing a quote.
The definition of a workaholic.
I did have that thought, that little chirping voice. I'm like, it's like, why can't you just go sit down and just stare at people walking along the street and have a coffee? And that is like freaks the crap out of me, you know? And it's so bad because maybe that's why I'm in this injured state again. You know, I know that people see it. Like everyone I talk to, what's the message, Jobie? You think maybe you should slow down? Well, I am slower than I used to be.
If you can believe that. Yeah.
You know,
or you could have stood there with parents watching him mountain bike. You know how parents kind of do that?
Yeah.
Where they'll sit there for the whole class and lesson and just watch. Yeah. And I'm like, I screech my brakes on, right, see ya. And I'm out of there. Yeah. And then I'm back no minute sooner than they need to be picked up. And I see all the parents sitting like watching my son do jujitsu. And I've never gone in. I'm like,
can you take a picture for me?
Well, I'll be like, just let me know when it's an important one, okay? Do you really need me to watch you do jujitsu? And he's cool with it, apparently. Who knows? He might later on in life.
You're injuring him, Abby. Don't deny it.
Yeah, he'll be like, you never were there. But I'm always thinking, like, that's 1 hour that I could get dinner ready, and I might actually have it done by the time I get to pick him up again. So I'm just literally tearing back home to get that done.
Yeah. If I make a cup of tea, I'll do push-ups while the kettle's boiling.
that is like the embodiment of workaholism.
I know.
Yeah, it doesn't get worse than that.
Yeah, I'm like tapping my foot. I'm like, okay, the kettle is taking forever. All right, let's go down and do 50 push-ups.
Oh, that's so funny. And the weird thing is people come to the East Coast and say, Mum will come and say it's like the 1950s here. It's so slow. The lineups move so slowly. The cashiers talk to every person. And I look at it and go, I couldn't be busier than I am now.
Right.
I would be having a complete meltdown. So to me, I was like, how could life be any more busy than this? But I know it could be. If I lived in downtown Toronto, it would be people would walk. I think they measure what city or where you live by the speed that people walk.
Yeah, you just adapt, right? And if you're a person that's like proclivity is leans towards tapping into the workaholic side of whatever environment you're in, then you're just gonna. I mean, for you to move to Toronto is like moving closer to your tribe.
Probably,
because now everyone is working 7 days a week, and you know, it's like an addict or an alcoholic moving to the place where all the bars are. You know,
but this was what was interesting, because Andrew Huberman said when he goes to New York, he feels zen because everyone's moving at his speed, his preferable speed. And what was interesting that I told you is when I'm working alongside these Ukrainians, I felt more at ease and relaxed around them because they worked at my speed. And they're so fast and I'm fast, and I wasn't getting any comments like, oh, you're so fast, chill out. I was like, this feels like it's flow for me to work at their speed, and it felt familiar. And I thought that's interesting because that's the first time I've been around anyone who works as fast as I do, and it felt kind of right for me. And I saw the positive side of some people are just built that way. And to be around your tribe feels relaxing because you're not getting judgments.
Mm.
and you're all really enjoying being productive. And it can be taken too far, as can being lazy and being on coconut time and not getting anything done. So there is that balance, but it is really quite nice to be around your tribe who are enjoying productivity as much as you are.
Yeah, I mean,
I think there's something in that.
Mom said that for the first time in her life, she's okay with. She just beat herself up for her work, with the fact that she loves work, and now she's finally okay with herself.
Yeah.
So yeah, I wonder, like, that the inner critic. If you're relaxing, it's going to criticize you for relaxing. If you're working hard, it's going to criticize you for working hard. If you're taking care of your body, it's going to criticize you for being anal and
vain
eating
or whatever.
junk food. It's going to it's no matter, and it's so tiring.
That's the inner critical parent is more the issue than actually your speed and lack of product. All of those things are the peripheral. The core thing is you've got a strong inner critical parent.
Well, even when things happen, like say the electronic struggles, it's like I start reading into it. And I think there's a good side to that. Say, what are the signs? But maybe it's just life. Like when this accident happened, people were like, well, what's the takeaway? And I'm like,
shit happens.
And an idea where I would have steadied that. I mean, that thing with Jeremy Renner when the bulldozer went over him is because he didn't hit the parking brake. Well, 99% of the time you don't need to because it sits in snow. It doesn't move. But this time it was on ice and it slid. And it's like 99.9% of the time when your ladder is slightly not level, you get away with it. But when it doesn't go right, and it's like, so it's on one hand, you can just like read into it. Like I start to get paranoid. I've had an accident every 6 months since I've moved here that's put me in hospital. But
this is the thing. A farmer, there is more farm accidents. Like Peterson talks about this, how men do more dangerous jobs and are much more they're like 75% more likely to die at work than a woman is because men do high risk jobs. So to say I was injured on the job, I'm not good at risk assessment. Yeah, but you're doing a high risk. If you're drilling towards the center of the earth or whatever the job is on an oil rig, your chances of being in a work accident are way more than being in a cubicle on a computer. So you've spent your life doing higher risk jobs. You haven't been in a cubicle on a computer. So your chances of getting injured on the job are going to be higher. That's the message, isn't it? It's like that will happen. I've never broken one bone in my body because I've never done a high risk job. So if I did start doing one, I would probably get injured.
Only a matter of time, right?
Yeah. So
I mean, there's always a takeaway. I mean, it's like, I should probably slow down. I should walk across the farm and get the little piece of wood and put it under the one leg and make sure it's perfectly level. But
at the time, it's so tedious.
Oh man.
Yeah. I think what my takeaway is, and it's the same with figuring out the death cycle versus the life cycle, is the inner critical parent is the worst demon of all. Not the thing, not the anything. Whatever the thing is irrelevant. It's that age-old lack of self-acceptance. Whether you're having a lazy Sunday, like I haven't been to the gym for 3 weeks because this project has taken me over, and now I'm thinking, oh, I'm such a slob. And the reality is, I'm up a ladder and I've had 17 days of rolling with I'm still aching, but it's for different reasons, but I'm not at the gym. So I've really fallen off the wagon, and this might be the longest I've been not at the gym in 9 years. And so I feel shit about that.
I'm with you. I feel shit. And most people are like, well, you're injured, bro.
Yeah. And I'm like, well, you've got a project on the go. It's like, yeah, it's not good though, is it? Yeah. It's not good. I've really dropped the ball this time. Will I ever get back on? Maybe this is it. This is a slippery slope. This is literally what my brain thinks when I sit in the morning and go, do I put my work clothes on or my gym clothes on? And I'm debating, and I'm like, yeah, but I could get to work an hour earlier if I don't go to the gym, and time is of the essence. But I've still got that critical parent in my mind going, yeah, but it's been 3 weeks. That's not good. Not good at all. So it's just, that's the battleground, not the thing itself.
The inner critic takes you out of the moment, right? Because you'll be doing something and the inner critic will be saying you should be doing something else. And so the inner critic, like, what was that? It was a podcast I was listening to. I think I sent it to you way back during COVID. That woman wrote something about like a book called Black Magic, or
Oh yeah, I know. That's the woman who wrote Eat, Pray, Love. It's called something magic. I can't remember the name. Elizabeth. Yeah, she was talking about creativity.
and she was talking about the critic
Big
sitting in the
Magic.
car. Big Magic. I'm going to write that down and we'll listen to that again.
Elizabeth.
Yeah, she said when I'm on a creative journey, I'm writing a new book, the inner critic, I tell it, you can come along for the drive, you can sit in the back. I know you're going to be there. I can't tell you not to come because you're going to come, but you can't fiddle with the radio. You can't fiddle with the heat controls. You can't tell us to change direction. You just sit there. You're all
That
on
was
for the ride.
fear.
Be grateful for that.
Yeah, she said that's fear. Fear is always there, is ever present, and it's not going to go away. It might have been, but my memory of it was fear.
Yeah, but both.
Yeah, same thing.
A fear is that same thing. Like when I put myself, when I'm doing a project, which I'm always doing some type of project, the thing that makes that project unlikable is one, the inner critic is an element, but also fear that you're not going to get the other jobs done because you're on this job. Do you know what I mean? It's like I'll be consumed. I'll be cutting the grass, which could actually be a really cathartic thing. But inside, I've got fear that I should be finishing the railing on my deck. And when I'm doing the railing on my deck, I'm looking over at the grass getting longer. And I'm thinking, yeah, but that doesn't feel like as productive as what I'm doing right now. This is fucking stupid battle going on. I always come back to it.
It's exhausting.
Yeah, it's like, why don't I treat life like a continuum? Like the grass will grow and need cutting and then it'll grow again. The weeds will grow and you'll get them out and then the new ones will grow again. And if you can just relax into it, it's like if someone stops you in the street when you're on your way to point A to point B, the thing that stops you sitting down and having a coffee right there and then is the fear that you won't get the checklist done that you planned in the morning. And so you choose the thing that would be the biggest regret if you were to suddenly get hit by a car and have your life flash before your eyes. You would totally regret it. And I'm thinking about this a lot, like putting myself in the position of having an accident. Like I've had lots of accidents and I remember the feeling, and perspective hits you so quickly.
Right.
You know, like running up that ladder and doing that, putting that last staple in.
Was it really worth it?
Like I saved myself 0.5 seconds by not, you know what I mean? Now I'm in recovery for 2 months and probably long-term aches and pains, it's like, what, you fucking idiot, but the inner critic told me, or whatever, the driving force behind me say, got no time to lose. You haven't got time to go back there and do that. You got to get up there so you can get on to the next task. You got to finish that checklist that you made for the day. And it's so incredibly annoying and really hard to put it in its place consistently, daily. I mean, it must, I always, like I've never been an addict as far as to a substance, but, when you really think about how hard it is to put your inner critic at bay or the fear at bay long term, can you imagine how hard it is to stop like a heroin addiction?
Yeah.
Like
every day thinking about it.
Yeah.
One
every
day
minute
at a
of every
time,
day.
you're like, oh my God.
Yeah.
Tormenting. Just horrid.
Those guys are heroes, like full on heroes to be able to walk that. And I don't think we quite
understand that at all.
No. And I think that Gabo Mate said something that really hit me because he was a workaholic. And he said, I came home from work, and he was a surgeon or something. And he said, my kids had to deal with me in withdrawal. And it hit me so hard. Then I'm like, oh, so I've got to treat this like a cocaine addiction. Because his kids had to deal with him in workaholic withdrawal. He didn't want to be at home sitting around playing Lego with his kids.
Right.
He was actually on this other, I want to actually be up here spinning at a high velocity. And I don't know, sometimes I just feel like I keep falling off the wagon.
But what's interesting is not only are you critical of on that day the choices you made, but after the fact where you're still berating yourself.
Yeah.
You're not kind to yourself in that moment or after the moment.
No.
Because if you were to really unravel from your inner critic, it would be to show yourself more kindness.
Yeah.
And so your takeaway from that accident is to show yourself even less kindness. Why? Was it a priority? That's still unkind to you. You know, it's like, so you're still repeating that by going, was it really that important? And now I got recovery time, and now I've set myself back 2 months, and blah, 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 blah. It's like, wow, you're being really harsh on yourself. It's that, and something a friend of mine keeps saying, just remember to speak kindly to yourself. And when she says that, I'm like, what's that got to do with anything? How's that going to help the price of milk? But actually, that's really what this is about, is the only way you could ever rewrite that chapter of your life is because at the core, this is a lack of self-love, and it's a lack of kindness. Yeah. Because the berating afterwards, the berating during is all just like self-loathing, just why? Come on now, there's a war on. It's all not very kind. No. And if someone were to be in your head and listen to how you talk to yourself, I'd be like, dude, that's just awful.
I know. I'm listening to this. I think I sent you a couple of those, the Art of Accomplishment podcast, and some of them are live counseling sessions, and he's talking to this guy that what did he say? I just started listening to it, and I'm like, oh shit, this is for me. He just says, I never celebrate my wins, and I don't know how to love myself or something. You say self-love and immediately. So what they did is they had the counseling conversation, and then they rewatched it, and then he said, oh, like, watch this point, this is what's going on. And he's like, right when you hit play, and the guy's like, so welcome to the coaching thing. And Joe, who's the counselor, he's like, pause the video right there. He goes, see how he tilts his head to the side and he's looking down? He's like, right there, I could tell he doesn't love himself. He's unsure of himself. He doesn't like not looking me in the eyes and saying, I need help. He was just like, doing this and all of his body language. And I'm totally like that. I don't celebrate my victories, but one of the things he says, and this is something that comes up in the Mankind Project. He's like, yeah, and I feel really afraid. And he's like, welcome fear. Like that's a phrase that comes up a lot in the internal families and stuff like that. It's like welcoming, instead of hating the pain or hating the fear or hating the inner critic, you welcome it. Doesn't Jordan talk about that? About it's like loving your dragons or something?
Well, I mean, I don't know if it's Jordan, but certainly what I've noticed is that in this season of kind of loss, being able to acknowledge to myself, this is really sad, and I'm going to allow myself to feel all the sadness, not a pleasant emotion, not knowing how long, because it's really grief. And, even with what you're going through, the business and losing the shop, those things, allowing yourself and welcoming that sense of sadness and letting it stay as long as it needs to stay is a hugely accepting. Because when people say, oh, you seem to be doing so well considering all the loss, I think one of the things that's really helped me, all of the teaching that I spent so long absorbing of Eckhart Tolle actually finally started to come into play when shit hit the fan in my life, because those little phrases like offer no resistance to what is because it already is, I had listened to his stuff so much and it didn't resonate at the time. I knew it was truth, but I couldn't apply it because of my situation. For some reason, there was just a blockage. And then when things got really bad, I feel like I've been able to offer no resistance to the sadness, allow it to be here, welcome it, like you say, the fear, whatever the emotion is, these uncomfortable, negative emotions, I suppose, and not rush through that wanting, because I know grief takes about 2 years. If you separate from someone, it's a month for every year you were with them. So that could be a really long period of time. If you were with them a long time, you're looking at, 2 years again for grief. And not judging, like when you move to the farm, giving yourself grace to go, oh, I don't know, man, weird emotions, don't know if we made the right decision. I've just started to really notice how important it is in those moments when you're transitioning and losing something, or even having to adjust to change. Even good change is hard. That being able to say, give yourself grace and go, I'm just going to allow this emotion to be here and I'm not going to skip over it and push it down and wish it away, as uncomfortable it is. I feel like that's something I've been able to grasp to a degree because of the amount that I lent into Tolly's phrases. They just stuck with me. And in those moments, I was like, I get it. I think I get it. And that is essentially a form of self-love, because to white knuckle and say, I should be feeling something, I should be over this by now, I should be better, is such a lack of kindness to yourself. It's such a lack of tolerance. So intolerant. It's like,
well, yeah. I mean, I it's like this injury. I'm just like, I don't understand. I'm just like frustrated. I'm like, come on, gotta get back on the whack. And it's like, you're not, and I know the voice in my head is like, you're not learning what you could be learning at this moment. You know, it's like I filled the void really quickly with podcast researching.
Productivity.
Yeah. I like filled that void. It's like, and I did do some soul searching, but not, if I'm honest, not really as much as I could have. Like, what is this respite that's forced on me, you know? And it's like, fuck me, man.
And the red herring, I think, is the pit where you go, oh, I need to slow down. I think that's the red herring. I don't think it's about that. When people say, what can you learn from this? You know, maybe you need to check the ladder before. I think that's a decoy. I think the actual, what really needs to be learned is give yourself some grace. Love yourself. You didn't make any. It happened. You're in a high risk job. Don't berate yourself, because that's the same pattern of behavior continuing.
Yeah. Joe says that in that podcast all the time. He's like, you're doing it again. Now you're beating yourself up for, he's like, no, you feel sad. Just love yourself. And it's like every 2 minutes, he's like, you're doing it again. You're
like,
beating yourself up, berating yourself, saying that you're a failure. Like, and
I should have, if I just decoy, like next time, okay, I need to learn to do slower. No, that's just who you are. Just accept the fact you like to do things fast, just like Mum has. I like work. Okay, what's underneath all of that? I love myself. I love the way I am. Like, that's okay.
Yeah. I don't even know what that feels like. Like, I don't even know what it feels like to truly love the way I am, because I feel like I'm constant, when I'm talking to other people, I'm constantly pedaling backwards, trying to be the thing I'm naturally not, you know?
Yeah. And you're self-editing all the time.
Self-editing and oh, you vanished.
I had a pop-up.
Yeah. Yeah, trying to cover your tracks. Don't look at this part of me. And when really, that's like a flower saying, don't look at my petals, just look at the stem, please.
Well, Chase,
I'm embarrassed that I bloom red and everyone in this field blooms purple.
And there's fuck all you can do about it.
It's actually like, no, you're the only red flower in this field, man. You're a star. I'm really ashamed about it. Why aren't I purple?
Hughes says he's the body language specialist. He says everyone wears a mask, and the mask they wear is to cover their shame. So we all have shame that we're desperately trying to prevent other people from seeing, and the majority of our time is spent trying to cover that. And I think, wow, that's so profound. I can't quite grasp it, but I think there's obviously truth in that we wear these masks to cover up the lack of self-acceptance, or, you know, but that's what I've realized in the last year is, oh, this is why I'm actually on planet Earth, to learn this thing. That's why I'm here. That is my life journey, is the thing I'm learning right now is what I'm here for. Whether I grasp it or not, I know that's why I'm here, because it's repeated itself so many times now that at 46, I can pretty confidently say my quarter of a century, half a century has been this thing that I have to learn, is self-acceptance. Nothing else, really. I'll probably get to the end of my life, whenever that is, and go, yeah, turns out that's what it was all about for me. And that's probably why what you see as, you know, for example, the accidents and these various little kind of moments are just the little put your head out of the trenches moments where you get an opportunity to reflect and go, oh yeah, turns out that's what it's all about. and then you're back down in the trenches beavering away. What do they call it? Moments of inflection, I think, where you've had this accident and it's almost like nature is saying you have a moment here to stick your head out of the trenches. And I realize I've done that my whole life and missed the mark and actually doubled down on the thing. Instead of taking that moment, I've fallen into cognitive dissonance with it and go, I can't. And I double, triple, quadruple down on the thing.
Yeah. It's like the round hole, the square peg. Maybe we should go look for a round peg. It's like, no, I'm going to hammer this fucking square peg through the round hole. You know, it's like this technology stuff. Like some people would just be like, you know what? I'm just going to step away. Like, I'm just going to call the guy that I was going to do that in-person podcast. Say, yeah, it's not the right time. I'm just going to push it all away. Yeah. But instead, I'll just white knuckle it and
or say, I'm not good at technology. I'm going to delegate this to someone else who is good at technology or whatever, you know, just go, that's not my thing, turns out. Just like not have that stubbornness and just go, yeah, I'm not going to push this one. It's clearly not my language, but I find the doubling down has been the, now I look back and we both got a long enough time on earth to see the pattern of behavior. I'm like, I can point out, double down. I had a choice. There was enough awareness in me to choose either I get out of this trench or I double down on the trench. And I actually cognitively chose to stay and double down. And that's on me.
Yeah, that little voice says you shouldn't marry this guy.
Yeah. Just a minor life course. And then you double, triple, quadruple for 23 years.
My marriage to Alison, like massive sign in the sky, like do not marry this woman. The night before our wedding, you know, ran away from her as we were standing on the beach and the night before our wedding, supposed to be magic. And I just ran.
Wow.
And I felt
your whole body was being rejecting
man. I
this.
felt like the wind behind me. It's like, do not stop.
Wow.
And then all that came flooding in was you shoulds. You should. You can't do this to her. You can't do this to the family. You can't do this. That shoulda. And I went and married a bloody woman. She wasn't a bloody woman. She was a nice woman. Married her, putting all of my inner, all of the signs. Yeah, just put it all on the back burner. Yeah, I don't want to listen to you. I'm going to go and do the opposite of what you're telling me to do.
And create so much pain.
Yeah. And that's probably from a low self-worth, right? Like I literally said to myself, literally these words, I can fake it for 40 years. I think I can fake it for 40 years. And when she walked down the aisle, I thought to myself, oh God, like bad.
Wow. That is about as bad as it gets, isn't it? To know cognitively in that moment, you weren't even, I love her, but you knew.
She looks great. I can... it wasn't like in and out. It was like the whole time. It was like
doom.
And she knew. She actually knew it too. I think she knew. Really, she knew Jobie's not. He's not
in it.
But she was forcing it too.
Yeah.
Like, fuck it. He's gonna marry me.
Yeah.
All right, Abs. We're
right. Yeah,
over
I need
your limit.
to go. But this has been great. It's been really good. I'm glad we did it.
Yeah.
Glad we made the time.
Nice to connect with you. It's been a while.
No, but it's always worth it, isn't it?
Yeah.
Amidst the chaos. I'm going back into it now, full-flown prom dress shopping. Kill me. I'm done. Anyway, all right. Love you.
All right. Love you.
Talk to you soon. Bye.
Bye.